What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be taking a deep look at the Lightweight perk in Black Ops 7, because it may not be doing exactly what you think it's doing, based on the description for it. And then of course I do want to see what it is actually doing and how much it helps to see if it's a worthwhile perk, especially with it being a tier 1 perk, which is a very competitive tier. So diving right in, the description for Lightweight says, increased movement speed, jump, slide, and dive further, faster recovery time from sliding and diving. So the first thing I wanted to investigate is increased movement speed. What do they mean by movement speed? Is this all movement speeds for everything like walking, sprinting, aim down sight movement speed? So I went and tested on multiple guns, and here are the results that I found. It turns out Lightweight has no impact on your base walking speed or your aim down sight walking speed. It only appears to improve your sprint speed. So I consider that description to be a little bit on the misleading side, because to me, if you say it increases my movement speed, in my eyes that means any form of movement, and I think a lot of people anticipated that that's what this would mean, but it doesn't. It increases your sprint speed. Now, how much of an increase are we seeing here? Based on my tests, a 5% increase, which might seem like a very small value, but when it comes to your movement speeds, that's actually not bad. I've seen it range from about like 3% up to 7%, just off the top of my head, as far as I can remember from some previous Call of Duty games. I know a lot of the older Call of Duty games, you would see up to about a 7% improvement, whereas some more modern ones with a Lightweight perk, you'd only see about a 3% improvement. So 5% is somewhere in the middle. It's not amazing, but it's not bad by any means. It definitely is noticeable. But the big thing to keep in mind is it's not helping you strafe in a gunfight. It's not helping you walk any faster. It's only helping your sprint speed. But of course, that's just the first element of this. The next thing is jump, slide, and dive further. And with this, it's really difficult to accurately hand test this and get like perfect values for everything. So we're mainly just gonna have to eyeball it here. And I did put them side by side. And I also tested on multiple guns, but I'm just gonna show you one of the guns just to keep things simple and easy to follow. I saw the same results with multiple guns. Let's first have a look at our slide. And as you can see, on the right side with Lightweight, you just get that little bit of extra duration to your slide, which allows you to travel a farther distance. Now it's fairly minimal. Pay close attention to when the character's hand comes back onto the gun. You can just see that it happens a short period after on Lightweight because you're getting that longer duration out of your slide. So it's definitely helping a little bit there, but honestly, without slowing these clips down, and especially if you weren't looking at them side by side and back to back, realistically, just based on feel, in my experience at least, it's not super obvious or noticeable. If I did a blind test and I didn't know if I had Lightweight on or not, and you let me run around and slide, for instance, I'm not convinced that I'd be able to very confidently say, yes, I have Lightweight, or no, I don't have Lightweight. Does that mean it's never helping you in any situations? No, not necessarily. I'm sure that little bit can go a long way in certain situations. It's just not a complete like night and day difference when looking at them side by side. Then taking a look at the same comparison, but this time with a dive. In this case, all of the timings appear to be the same, so it's not like you get a longer dive duration. However, it does appear that you travel through the air a little bit faster in your dive, so you are able to dive a longer distance. But again, it's another case where in a blind test, I'm not convinced I'd be able to confidently say I have Lightweight or I don't have Lightweight, but it still may help in some situations. Now, going back to the description, they also mention faster recovery from sliding and diving, and they're not really clear about what recovery means. Some people might read this as your slide to fire or dive to fire time, because that would involve recovering from that action and being able to do the next action, which is firing. Once again, I did test this on multiple guns, but just going to show you on the one. And as we can see here, when it comes to slide to fire time, it's identical with or without Lightweight. I fire my gun on the exact same frame, and it turns out it's the exact same case with our dive to fire time. So this part talking about recovery has nothing to do with slide to fire or dive to fire times. Those can be impacted using rear grip attachments. So what does this mean then? Well, the next thing I wanted to test is how quickly can I get back into a sprint, for instance, after performing one of these actions. That seems like it would make sense when it comes to recovery. So testing out sliding, what I did here is I initiated a slide and then immediately just started spamming the sprint button. I didn't perform a slide cancel or anything like that. I'm just spamming sprint to try to get back into a sprint as quickly as possible after initiating a slide. And once again, if you pay close attention to the character model's hand, it does come up a little bit faster on the Lightweight side. So that appears to be showing that faster potential recovery. If you want to get out of a slide and get back to sprinting, you can do that faster with Lightweight. As for diving, I'm not really seeing as much of a difference here. Especially in real time, I can't see any difference here whatsoever. When going frame by frame, we can compare these two frames here, and you can see technically it's a little bit faster with Lightweight, But this one, I think you would be very hard pressed to ever notice a difference to, and I don't think it would really have any impact on the vast majority of situations where you need to dive and recover. So I'm sure it's doing something there, but I don't think it's enough to really make a difference or justify the use of lightweight for this specific sort of situation. And that's pretty much it. That is going to wrap it up for my breakdown of the lightweight perk. Overall, when it comes to my thoughts on this, first off, it would be nice to see the description be a little more accurate, just because I'm sure many of you guys watching this today thought that increased movement speed meant that it would be increasing your movement speeds across the board, when that's obviously not the case. It's only helping with your sprint speed. As far as the improvement that we are seeing to sprint speed, I think 5% is reasonable. I don't think you want to get too fast with it. I mean, the pace of this game is already really fast, so I'd be very hesitant to making that even faster. And then when it comes to sliding and diving further, as well as recovering from a slide or a dive a little bit faster, honestly, I consider those to be very small bonuses attached to lightweight rather than something that I would want to use lightweight specifically for. If I am using lightweight, it's going to be for that faster sprint speed so I can get from point A to point B a little bit faster, especially in something like search and destroy, for instance, where opening routes are very important. Yeah, lightweight's going to be solid for that. In saying that though, with the tier of perks that it's in, I do think it's got a lot of really big competition here. And unless I'm specifically wanting to get the Enforcer combat specialty, for instance, where I have to use 3 red perks in order to gain that power, I really don't see myself using lightweight all that often, if at all. I just don't think it has enough utility relative to the others. And I think if anything were to be done to it, like I said, I don't think increasing the sprint speed even more would necessarily be appropriate, but perhaps making it work the way the description implies it should work would be nice, to see some other movement speed benefits as well, like a walking speed benefit, a crouch walking speed benefit, and maybe even an aim walking speed benefit, although that also has to be handled with great care as well, so you don't have people strafing way too quickly. But those are, of course, just my thoughts, and perhaps it's just something that doesn't mesh with my playstyle as well. And if that's the case, that's totally fine. It's not like it needs to cater to me in every single way. It's fine to have perks that don't work for you, but work great for someone else. Maybe for some of you, lightweight is absolutely worthwhile in its current states, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Now that you understand how lightweight works, what are your thoughts on this perk, and did you expect it to be increasing your movement speeds across the board, or are you not surprised at all that this only helps with your sprint speed? Do you guys like it? Do you think it's worth using? Or maybe not so much? If you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.